I was already backing out of the parking space when my phone rang. I didn't answer it at first. I was shaking too badly to even look at the screen. But then it rang again, and when I glanced down, I saw her name. The same name I had been talking to for weeks. The same name that had just lured me to an empty parking lot at midnight. I answered. Before I could say anything, a man's voice came through the speaker. Calm, low, way too close. He said, "Why are you leaving? I can see your car." That's when I slammed my foot on the gas. I met her on Hinge. Her name was Emily. She looked normal, not influencer perfect, not overly edited, just real. Brown hair, glasses in a couple photos, a picture of her hiking with friends, another one at a coffee shop, smiling at the camera like she didn't know it was being taken. Her profile said she worked in accounting and hated horror movies because they stuck with her too long. That should have been the first red flag, because if there's one thing I learned after all this, it's that people who lie that well always leave small cracks in the story. At the time, though, everything felt easy. We matched on a Sunday night, and by Monday morning we were already talking like we'd known each other for a while. The conversation flowed. No awkward pauses, no forced flirting. She didn't push for anything, didn't ask for pictures, didn't get weird. Honestly, it felt refreshing. We talked every day for almost 3 weeks. Texting turned into calls, calls turned into late-night conversations that lasted until one of us fell asleep without saying goodbye. The only thing she refused to do was video chat. She said her phone camera was broken. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I know. But at the time, it didn't feel suspicious. She sent me voice messages. She sent pictures. She even sent short videos, never showing her face directly, but enough that I convinced myself it was fine. I wanted it to be fine. So when she finally suggested we meet, I didn't hesitate. She picked the location, a small cafe that stayed open late, tucked behind a strip mall near the highway. She said she liked it because it was quiet and not full of people staring. We agreed on Friday, 11:30 p.m. That should have been the second red flag. When I pulled into the parking lot, the cafe was dark. Every light inside was off. The only thing illuminated was the sign out front, buzzing faintly like it was struggling to stay alive. I checked my phone. No missed messages, no calls. I texted her, "I'm here." No response. I waited. 5 minutes, 10. The parking lot was empty except for my car and one SUV parked near the dumpsters at the far end. I told myself I was being paranoid. Then my phone buzzed. "Emily, sorry, running late. I'm parked behind the building. Can you come back here?" I stared at the message. Behind the building was nothing but trash bins, a service alley, and a line of trees separating the lot from the highway. I typed back, "Why don't you just come around front?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then my phone rang. That's when the story really began. After I floored it and got onto the main road, I didn't stop driving for almost 20 minutes. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed distance. When I finally pulled into a gas station, my hands were still shaking so badly I could barely turn the car off. I sat there, breathing hard, replaying his words in my head. "I can see your car." I checked my call history. The call had come from Emily's number. I tried calling it back, straight to voicemail. I blocked the number, deleted the app, drove home. I told myself it was over. I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to 12 notifications, login attempts, Instagram, Gmail, Facebook, all from locations I didn't recognize. I changed every password. Then I noticed something else, a new email, no subject line, just a single sentence in the body. "You shouldn't have left." That email wasn't connected to my dating profile. I never told Emily my email.
I felt that familiar sinking feeling in my stomach, the one that tells you something has already gone too far. I reported everything: the app, the email, the phone number. By that afternoon, Emily's profile was gone, completely erased. That should have made me feel better. Instead, it made it worse, because it meant she was never real to begin with. For a few days, nothing happened. No messages, no calls. I started to relax. Then one night, I got a notification from Google Photos. A new image had been added. The photo showed my car, parked outside my apartment, taken from across the street. I hadn't posted that picture anywhere, and the timestamp said it had been taken less than an hour earlier. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I stayed at a friend's place for a week. Eventually, everything stopped. No more messages, no more photos. But even now, months later, I still check my mirrors before I park. I still hesitate before answering unknown numbers, and I will never forget the sound of that man's voice telling me he could see my car when I was supposed to be meeting a woman who never existed. If you're watching this and you've ever used a dating app or trusted someone you've never met, let me know in the comments. And if you want more true catfish horror stories, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, because the next story gets worse.
I was already on the floor of my bedroom when she said it. I had locked the door, turned off the lights, pulled the curtains shut. My phone was pressed tight against my ear as she whispered, almost casually, "Can you prove you're alone right now?" That was when I heard something scrape against my window. This started on Instagram, not a dating app, not a swipe, just a message request that popped up late one night while I was scrolling in bed. Her name was Lena. Her profile was private, but the profile picture showed a girl about my age, dark hair, sharp eyes, half smiling at the camera. Nothing sexual, nothing flashy. The bio was short: a city near mine, a music note emoji. I ignored it at first. Then she followed me, then liked 3 of my photos in a row. I checked her profile again. She had around 900 followers, mostly guys, but a few women too. Normal-looking people, tagged photos, highlights, nothing that screamed fake. So I accepted. Her first message was simple: "Hey, I think we have the same taste in music." We talked about bands, concerts, how overpriced everything was getting. It felt casual, normal, like talking to someone you might already know. Within a few days, we were messaging constantly. She was funny, sarcastic, a little dark in the way she joked, but not in a way that felt threatening. She sent selfies sometimes, never overly posed, never sexual, just her lying on a couch or standing in a mirror with messy hair. She refused to send videos. When I asked, she laughed it off. "I hate how I look on camera," she said. "I promise I'm real." I believed her. That's the part that still makes me feel stupid. About 2 weeks in, the conversation started shifting. She asked more personal questions, not invasive at first: who I lived with, what my apartment was like, what time I usually got home from work. I didn't think much of it. Then one night while we were texting, she asked, "Do you ever feel like someone's watching you?" I laughed it off. She didn't. She replied almost instantly, "I do, all the time." After that, the tone changed. She started texting late, really late. If I didn't respond, she'd send follow-ups, not angry, just insistent. "You there? Don't fall asleep on me. I hate being ignored." I told myself she was just lonely. Then she asked if we could talk on the phone. I hesitated, but agreed. Her voice was soft, quiet, almost soothing. She spoke slowly, like she was choosing every word carefully. We talked for almost 2 hours. At one point, she said something that made my stomach tighten. "I like your voice," she said. It matches your place." I asked what she meant. She laughed. "Just a feeling." A few nights later, she asked me to FaceTime. I said sure. The call connected, and the screen stayed black. She apologized immediately. "My camera's acting weird again," she said, "but you can turn yours on." I didn't. I told her it felt awkward. She paused, then said very calmly, "That's okay. I can imagine you." That was the first time I thought about blocking her, but I didn't. Instead, I stayed on the call. That night, she asked me to describe my room, where the bed was, where the window faced, what I could see outside. I didn't answer everything. I joked my way around it. She didn't push. She just listened. A few days later, she sent me a photo. It was my apartment building, taken from across the street. I stared at it, my chest tight. I texted back immediately. "Where did you get this?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then my phone rang. I answered without thinking. Her voice was different, lower, more serious. "You didn't answer my question earlier," she said. "Are you alone right now?" I hung up, blocked her, sat there in silence, listening to my own breathing. I told myself it was coincidence. Someone else could have taken that photo. I was overreacting. That night, I woke up to my phone vibrating. Unknown number, text message. "I don't like being blocked." Another message followed. "I just wanted to talk." I blocked that number too. Then another message came in, different number. "I can still see your light." I sat up in bed so fast I got dizzy. The lights were off. I checked the window. The street light outside cast long shadows across the wall. Nothing else. I didn't sleep. The next evening, I got home from work and noticed something strange. My apartment door was unlocked. I knew I locked it. I stood there for a full minute, listening. Nothing. I walked in slowly. Everything looked normal. Too normal. No drawers open. Nothing missing. Just one thing. My bedroom window was open. I never leave it open. My phone buzzed. A message from another unknown number. "You should close that." That's when I dropped to the floor and crawled to the door, locked it, turned off every light. That's when my phone rang again. And when I answered, she said, "Can you prove you're alone right now?" Something scraped against the glass, slow, deliberate. I didn't answer. I stayed silent. Eventually, the scraping stopped. The call ended. The police came later. They checked the area, found nothing. No fingerprints, no damage. They told me to change my number. I did. I moved out 2 weeks later. I deleted every social account I had. I never heard from her again. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm lying in bed, I think about the way she said she could imagine me, and I wonder how long she'd been doing more than that. If you've ever trusted someone online you never really knew, or ignored a red flag because it felt awkward to speak up, let me know in the comments. And if you want more true, disturbing catfish horror stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because story 3 starts with someone who did meet their catfish and didn't make it home alone.
The man in the back seat cleared his throat. I hadn't noticed him until we were already moving. His voice came from inches behind my right ear, and the worst part was, she didn't react at all. We met on Tinder. Her name was Kayla. She didn't look like a model. She didn't look fake. Just a normal girl with a soft smile and tired eyes, like she didn't really enjoy taking pictures, but did it anyway. We matched late one night, and she messaged first, "Hey, you seem safe." I laughed when I read it. I asked her what that meant. She said, "I don't know, just a vibe." We talked for a few days, then a few more. Nothing intense, nothing flirty right away, just regular conversation. Work, movies, complaints about traffic.
She said she lived about 30 minutes outside the city. She didn't have social media. I'm kind of paranoid, she told me. Too many weird people online. That should have been the red flag. Instead, it made me trust her more. After about 2 weeks, she suggested we meet. She didn't want dinner, didn't want a bar. She suggested we just drive around and talk. I hesitated. She reassured me. We can meet somewhere public first, a gas station or something. That felt reasonable. So we agreed to meet at a gas station just off the highway around 9 p.m. I got there first, sat in my car and watched people come and go. 10 minutes passed. Then I got a text. I'm here, black sedan. I looked around. There were only 2 other cars. One was a pickup truck. The other was a black sedan parked near the far edge of the lot. Its headlights were off. I drove over and parked beside it. She was sitting in the driver's seat. She looked like her pictures. That's important, because up until that point, I still believed everything else might be in my head. She rolled down the window and smiled. "Hey," she said. I smiled back. She asked if I wanted to ride with her instead. I don't know why I said yes. Maybe because it felt rude not to? Maybe because I didn't want to look paranoid. I got out of my car and walked around to the passenger side. She unlocked the door. I got in. The car smelled faintly like cigarettes and something sweet, like air freshener trying too hard to cover something else. She pulled out of the lot. That's when I heard the man in the back seat clear his throat. I froze. She didn't slow down, didn't look surprised, didn't even glance in the rearview mirror. I turned my head slowly. There was a man sitting behind me, late 30s, maybe early 40s, messy hair, stubble, eyes fixed straight ahead. I looked back at Kayla. "There's someone in your back seat." She nodded. "Yeah," she said casually. "That's my cousin." Her tone was calm, too calm. I asked her why she didn't mention him. She shrugged. He wanted to come. I asked her to pull over. She didn't. Instead, she merged onto the highway. My heart was pounding. I told myself not to panic. Maybe it was just weird. Maybe I was overreacting. Then the man spoke again. "So you're the one she's been talking to?" I didn't answer. Kayla laughed softly. "He's shy," she said. I told her again to pull over. She sighed like I was being difficult. "We're just going for a drive." The highway was mostly empty, street lights passing overhead in slow, steady intervals. The man leaned forward slightly. I could feel his breath near my ear. "You're taller than I expected," he said. That's when I reached for the door handle. It didn't open. Child lock. I demanded she stop the car. Her face changed, not angry, annoyed. "Relax," she said. "You're safe." The man laughed quietly. "That's what we tell everyone." My stomach dropped. I didn't scream, I didn't fight. I stayed calm because every instinct in my body told me that panic would make things worse. I told her I needed to use the bathroom. I told her I felt sick. She hesitated. The man said something quietly to her that I couldn't hear. Then she took the next exit, pulled into a dimly lit rest stop. She parked, turned off the engine. The silence was deafening. The man didn't move. I asked if I could get out. She unlocked the doors. I opened mine slowly. The moment my feet hit the pavement, I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear yelling. I ran straight into the building and locked myself in the bathroom. I stayed there for nearly an hour. When I finally came out, their car was gone. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. The next morning, I opened Tinder. Kayla's profile was gone, completely erased. I unmatched automatically. A few hours later, I got a message on Instagram from an account with no profile picture, no posts, just a username made of random letters. "You embarrassed her." I blocked it. Then another account messaged me.
She liked you. Another, you ran. Then one more, we didn't think you'd do that. They knew my name. They knew where I worked. They knew my schedule. I called the police. They took a report, asked questions, told me there wasn't much they could do. No threats, no proof, just messages. 2 nights later, I heard a car idle outside my apartment. I didn't look out the window. I sat in silence until it drove away. I moved a month later. New place, new number, no dating apps. Sometimes I still think how normal she looked, how easy it was to believe she was real, and how close I came to disappearing into a car that never should have had a back seat occupied. If this story made your stomach drop, you're not alone. If you've ever ignored a bad feeling because you didn't want to seem rude or paranoid, leave a comment below. And if you want story 4, which is the most disturbing one yet, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next person didn't get out of the car in time.
The message came in while I was sitting in the police station. It was from her account. It said, "You shouldn't have told them." This story didn't start with a dating app. It started with grief. About a year ago, my fiancé passed away unexpectedly. No warning, no closure. One moment I was planning a wedding. The next I was picking out a suit I'd never get to wear. After that, my life shrank. Work, home, sleep. That was it. I didn't want to date. I didn't want to talk. I just didn't want to feel alone all the time. So when I joined a small online support group for people dealing with loss, I wasn't looking for romance. I was just looking for people who understood. That's where I met Emily. She messaged me after I shared a post about how quiet nights felt the hardest. She said she understood. She said she'd lost someone too. Her messages were thoughtful, careful. She never pushed, never flirted at first, just listened. That meant more to me than I realized at the time. We started talking privately after a few weeks. She said she lived in another state. That didn't bother me. In fact, it felt safer. We talked about memories, about guilt, about how weird it felt to keep living when someone else didn't get to. Eventually, the conversation softened, then warmed, then crossed into something else. She sent photos, nothing explicit, just her sitting by a window, a picture of her coffee on a messy desk, a selfie in soft lighting, smiling gently. She looked kind. I didn't question it. I needed to believe someone kind existed. Months passed. We talked every day, sometimes for hours. She never FaceTimed, always had a reason. Her camera was broken. Her connection was bad. She didn't like seeing herself. I accepted it because I trusted her, because she knew things about me no one else did, or at least I thought she did. One night, she asked me something that made me pause. "Do you ever feel like your place still belongs to her?" I told her yes. She followed up with, "Does it still feel empty?" I said it did. Then she asked, "Where do you sleep now?" That question felt off, but I answered. I told her I slept on the couch most nights. She replied with a sad emoji, then said, "I think I know why you're lonely." I didn't ask what she meant. A week later, she sent me a photo. It was my apartment building, taken from across the street. I stared at my phone for a long time before responding. I told her it wasn't funny. She replied immediately, "I wanted to see where you lived." I told her that wasn't okay. She apologized, said she got curious, said she didn't realize it would scare me. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe someone else took the photo. Maybe she found it online. I didn't want to lose the one person who felt like they understood me, so I let it go.
Then she started slipping, using phrases I'd never told her, referring to things I didn't remember sharing. Once she mentioned a scar on my arm. I'd never shown it in a photo. I asked how she knew about it. She said, "You told me." I knew I hadn't. The breaking point came one night when she sent me a message at 2:17 a.m. "You should lock your bedroom door tonight." I sat up straight in bed. I asked why. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then my phone rang. I answered without thinking. Her voice sounded different, lower, colder. "You left it open last night," she said. My chest tightened. I hadn't told her that. I hung up, blocked her, threw my phone across the room. 10 minutes later, someone knocked on my apartment door. Soft, 3 times. I didn't move. Another knock, harder. I called the police. While I was on the phone, I got another message. Unknown number. "Emily isn't real." Another message followed. "We are." That's when the knocking stopped and footsteps moved away. The police arrived. They searched the building, found nothing, no one. They took my statement, asked questions. Then one of the officers asked me something that made my stomach turn. "Are you sure you were only talking to one person?" They ran the accounts, the support group profile, the private messages, the numbers that texted me. All different. Different devices, different IPs, different locations, but the same patterns, the same writing style, the same questions. The officer told me they'd seen this before. Not often, but enough. Groups of people creating one identity, sharing information, building trust, watching, waiting. I asked why. He didn't answer right away. Then said, "Control, entertainment, sometimes worse." They advised me to leave my apartment. I stayed with my sister for a while, deleted everything, every account, every app, every trace. I thought it was over. 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a printed photo. Me, asleep on my couch, taken through my living room window. On the back, written in black ink, "We miss Emily too." I moved cities after that, changed jobs, changed routines. I don't talk to people online anymore. I don't join groups. I don't reply to messages from strangers who say they understand me. Because I learned something the hard way. Sometimes, you're not being catfished by one person. Sometimes, you're being watched by many.